up on Network Africa, we understand that after much thought, the president of the world's newest country will sign the peace deal today. Then the Mediterranean crisis remains an ever-present threat as 300 migrants arrive in Sicily.
It has been, among all the operations myself, one of the most difficult.
And later on, there's hope for albinos who lost their limbs to witch doctors in Tanzania as the Global Medical Relief Fund comes to the rescue. Hello there and welcome to Network Africa on Channels Television with me, Cynthia Are. It's the last Wednesday of the month of August and hopefully one of the last days of the crisis in South Sudan. We understand that the United Nations Security Council is almost certain beyond reasonable doubt that President Salva Kiir will sign yet another peace deal which could bring the conflict to an end. The focus right now is on implementation because in the past, 7 peace deals were signed and in a matter of hours, there was heightened conflict. And hence, the emphasis is not just on implementation, but also sustainability. Well, the Network Africa team has had the opportunity to take a closer look at the peace deal, which many often refer to as a power-sharing deal, and here's what we found. Now, what is contained in this peace deal, which the president will sign shortly, is that the fighting needs to stop immediately. Now, soldiers are supposed to be confined to barracks in the space of 30 days, and foreign forces are supposed to leave within 45 days, and also child soldiers and prisoners of war are to be freed. Then all military forces are to go outside, or who go outside of the 25-kilometer radius of Juba are to be replaced by unspecified guard forces and joint integrated police. Rebels are also supposed to get post of the first vice president, and transitional government of national unity is to take office in 90 days and the government for 30 months. Elections are to be held in 60 days before the end of the transitional government's mandate. The government also gets clear majority of legislative posts at national level and in 7 of the 10 states. But in battleground states such as Jonglei, Unity and Upper Nile, rebels get almost the same representation as the government. The Commission for Truth and Reconciliation as well as Healing is also to investigate human rights violations as well. And all that is contained in the peace deal, which will be signed in a matter of hours. Now to other matters which are just as disturbing as the crisis in South Sudan. A 25-year-old Muslim from Ghana has traveled to an Islamic State training camp, becoming the first known recruit from the West African nation to join the militant group. His family confirmed late yesterday, and at this point it's very important to note that about a third of Ghana's population of 27 million are Muslims. They have long coexisted peacefully with the Christian majority and have so far apparently avoided the influence of the kinds of radical Islam that have taken root in neighboring countries. So this development is a red flag. Nazir Norte Alima, that's the 25-year-old university graduate from the capital, Accra, had initially told his parents he was traveling to Presti, that's a mining town in the country's west. But Kabiru Alema said his brother had not expressed any particular interest in radical Islam, but in his message, Nazir Alema said that by joining Islamic State, he was obeying a call from Allah to abandon what he called the corrupt system. Well, for more on what this could lead to, we go live to Washington, D.C., where the Voice of America's Jeffrey Young, who is a terrorism and security expert, is standing by. Jeffrey, it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure as always, Cynthia.
Yes. Now, what do you make of this development with this aspiring member of the Islamic State from Ghana?
Rather cynically said, Cynthia, the Islamic State is diabolically brilliant in its marketing campaign. The Islamic State needs a constant supply of fighters that they can throw into combat to accomplish the goal of taking control of the Middle East. The Islamic State considers these people totally expendable. They're nothing but pawns in a game of geopolitical control, as these fighters, lured with promises of glory from martyrdom, get killed. The Islamic State makes efforts worldwide to reach out and pull in new recruits. This Ghanaian man, for whatever personal reasons, is just one of thousands who get pulled in every month with the so-called dawa, the call.
Now, Jeffrey, I am curious at this point. How do these individuals find out about these training camps exactly?
The Islamic State has very successfully used the internet, not only to lure people into its fishnet, as I mentioned earlier, but also to get these recruits under the direction and control of Islamic State operatives. There are websites known to be run by the Islamic State that people go to. And when they get to the site, they start clicking on things on the page that lead them to these little controllers, okay? The terrorists also have so-called chat rooms on the internet where people can be approached and given a sales pitch to leave home and die in martyrdom. Also, that al-Baghdadi and the other leaders of the Islamic State get what they really want, and that's power and control.
Now, Jeffrey, is it possible to use such individuals like this Ghanaian who we're seeing right now? Is it possible to use such individuals to track the camps of the Islamic State and probably carry out airstrikes then? Because so far we have seen an increase in strength in the group of, since the U.S.-led coalition began.
You know, Cynthia, that's technically entirely possible. There are electronic devices such as mobile phones and transponders that provide the location of the person carrying that device. For instance, if this Ghanaian's phone number was known to the authorities, they could hypothetically follow his mobile signal from one place to another until he reaches his destination. And at that point, the location would then be transmitted to military authorities who could then conduct either air or ground operations. But here's the other side. The Islamic State is not stupid. Certainly, this ability to track is known to them. So they no doubt tell people that they recruit to keep their mobiles shut off, except in rare instances, so that there is no ability to continually follow their movements. Now, as for the perception that the Islamic State continues to gain strength in these actions by the U.S.-led coalition and others, despite actions by the coalition, there is for now the appearance that the state is gaining more recruits that are being killed off. For now, it's a net gain. However, as intelligence and further developments come forward and we are able to respond more effectively, you're going to see the balance tip. And obviously the goal for the military side by the coalition is to raise the number of kills much higher than the number of recruits, and that way the number of people available for the Islamic State to use to project its power dwindles and hopefully will cease. But that's a long ways off, as we're both well aware.
Well, Jeffrey, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. This is a developing story. We'll definitely be reaching out to you depending on what happens. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Young.
Thank you.
The Voice of America's Jeffrey Young, reporting from Washington, D.C. He is a terrorism and security expert. Well, still to come on Network Africa. The Mediterranean crisis remains an ever-present threat as 300 migrants arrive in Sicily, along with the body of a 15-year-old Somali boy who died along the way.